Welcome to week 5 of Train Up a Parent Express. Tonight we're going to be doing chapter 9 and chapter 10, and we're going to be talking about tonight discipline. You know, the Bible says in Colossians 3:20, it talks about when we discipline wrong, we can exasperate, or it's a cool word, embitter our children, where they become bitter with you and I because we didn't do discipline in the right way. We know that discipline is important, but we have to remember the core aspects of what discipline is. Discipline is simply changing direction. That's what it is. It's not just, hey, we always do this, we always do that, but discipline is always evolving and always changing. Age of the child, boy or girl, what things are going to get them to change direction because they're headed in the wrong direction. We want to make sure that we change that. Now, not to exasperate our children, I'm going to give you, this is chapter 9, 7 ways in which we can exasperate our children. Number 1 is we lower the standard. We've been talking about that since week 1. The biblical standard is the standard. When the standard is here one day and it's here another day, and I can talk back to mom here and I can't talk back to dad here, it's very frustrating. None of us would want to work in a job where the expectations change every day drastically. And so our kids need to have biblical expectations that we raise them to. Number 2 is, as we said from week 1, kids have to have time to change. Oftentimes, we've been doing Train Up a Parent. We have an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, and we haven't done Train Up a Parent. So we have to give them, 6 weeks, 7 weeks to go, hey, what you're doing here in about 4 or 5 weeks, that's going to be trouble. So I'm giving you time to change. Number 3 is threaten and repeat. When we become parents where we don't have first-time obedience, but we're constantly threatening and repeating. Did you hear me? Mom said, come here. Did you hear me? I'm going to count to 3, right? And we yell, we have to scream. Instead of simply being parents that says, come here, please. And your child comes here. That's first-time obedience. That's our expectation. That's what we raise our children to. Hey, if I ask you to stop, hey, kids, I need you to be quiet. I don't have to ask you 5 times. That exasperates me, and it also exasperates the child. I should ask you 1 time, and I get what I ask. And so that is important that we don't become that. We don't bribe our children. We'll talk more about that in the discipline flowchart. They're not shamu. We don't say, hey, if you're good at the store today, I'm going to buy you candy. Life doesn't reward that. And we don't want to do that either. We don't want to reward kids for doing what kids are supposed to do, which is act and behave. Number 5, we don't renegotiate. So one of the big things is let's say, a kid goes, hey, we're having dinner. And the kid goes, oh, can I bring some toys to the table? And you say, no, we're not going to do toys at the table. And they say, well, can I bring, a couple 2 toys? No, you can't. No toys. Can I bring 1 toy to the table? And you find yourself exasperated, the child's exasperated with this negotiation. Where you bring them a red cup, they're like, well, I want a blue cup. No, we don't have a blue cup. Can I have a green cup? No, you get what cup I give you. This is, right, you're not at a restaurant. You get whatever cup I give you is the cup that I give you. And it can be frustrating. I think I did that to Baylor. Baylor, I gave him a green cup, and he got upset because he wanted a blue cup. And so then I had to tell him, for the rest of your life, you'll get a green cup now. That's where we're at now. You'll never get any other color. And I did. I hold true. Even today as an adult, if I pick a cup for him, it will be green. Because we had that. I will not battle you on a stupid color of a cup. All right. Number 6 is appeal. So it's not a renegotiate, but we talk about what an appeal is. That's where I don't have all the information. So a child can get very exasperated in a home where it's first-time obedience, but they don't have the right to come to you with an appeal. So you say, hey, I need you to clean your room. And what we didn't know is mom had them downstairs doing dishes. And they're like, yeah, but no. First-time obedience, you go to it. Well, then mom finds out, and they're like, I thought you were going to do the dishes. What are you doing? So a child has to have the ability to come to us and give us more information to appeal to us, right? Can I take a toy to the table? No, you can't have a toy at the table. And they're able to say, but mom said that tonight I could take that was weird. Did the lights go off? Was that just me? Was that a rapture? It was a very profound moment. I expected when it came back on, it was just me down here talking. Where the child can say, well, mom said earlier at lunch that I could take a toy tonight to the table. And they give you more information. So it's important that a child has the freedom to, in a right heart, right, in a right manner. It's not like, oh, mom told me to do the dishes. No. They can say, Dad, real quickly, I don't know what to do. Mom wants me to do the dishes. You want me to clean the room. What do you want to do? And I would say, oh, let me talk to Mom. That's fine. Go do the dishes for now. We'll figure that out. And so it's just giving you more information. And a child has to have the freedom in a respectful manner to give you more information. You're like, time for bed. And, it's 8 o'clock. You're like, time for bed. And the kids are like, and you're like, no. I said it. Go to bed. You didn't realize that your wife had said, or somebody, your grandma or grandpa said, hey, they can stay up to 8:30. And so they give you more information so you can make a better decision. So we have to have appeal. And number 7 is one of my favorite, is the 10-minute warning. There's nothing more frustrating to me as a husband that I'm working and I'm doing something. And if Holly comes in and goes, hey, time for dinner. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, no, right now. We're eating right now. That's frustrating because I'm in the middle of something, I'm doing something. The same thing for your children. That our children, we need to get in the habit that most of the time we give them a warning. You're at some people's house and they're invested in a game and they're playing it, and you can exasperate your child if you're like, hey kids, let's go now, clean it up. And they've been playing the game for 45 minutes, they didn't get to finish it. When all you have to do is go, hey guys, and it's on you to go, hey, we're leaving in about 10 minutes. I need you to be wrapping up the game. And it allows them those 10 minutes, right? It's like, time for dinner. And the kids are like, well, we're watching a show. And you're like, nope, chip, chop, chip. We're going to eat dinner right now. Well, that's annoying. That's annoying to all of us. I'm invested in a show. And it probably works out better nowadays that you can pause it. When I first wrote this, there was no pause. We didn't have pause back then, right? But, it's still able to go, hey, kids, in 10 minutes, we're going to be having dinner. And so just kind of getting yourself ready. And you'll be surprised at how good that helps your children in their emotions when they have the emotional ability to prepare for that. So the 10-minute warning. All right. Now we are going to go to chapter 10, which is discipline. Come on. Can I get an amen out there anywhere as we go to chapter 10, changing direction? If I can find it. There it is. All right. Proverbs 29:15 says, discipline a child produces wisdom. So when I discipline a child, it produces wisdom in that child. But a child left undisciplined disgraces its mother. I don't know why the dad's not involved in there, but for some reason it brings disgrace to the mother. What I want you to remember here is we got a flow chart, go step by step what to do. It'll be good that over time you'll kind of have it memorized in a sense of knowing what to do, the flow of it. But in the beginning, put it on the fridge, put it somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with you going, I don't know what to do. Go to your room and then go and look at the flow chart. But I need you to know what discipline is. Discipline number 1 is love. That is why we discipline. We discipline because we love you. We care so much about you, we don't want to mess up your life. We want you to not mess up your life. And so it has to be through the heart and the attitude of love. Number 2 is to change directions. That discipline is there. You're hanging out with the wrong friends. That's going to mess up your life. I need to change your direction, whatever that means. And when you're doing discipline, if it doesn't change their direction, then it's not working. So it's very important as parents that if I keep disciplining, but they keep doing the same thing, then I have to find the child's kryptonite. Every child has it. What that is, that's up to you to discover. Going through the flow chart and figuring out. For one kid, right, it might be taking away their phone. Another kid, it might be taking away social media or something. There's something that you remove. There's a punishment. There's a pain that you bring that changes direction. We had some parents who they couldn't get their kid, kept getting bad grades in school. Whatever they tried didn't matter. The kid didn't care. So they decided they love their clothes. They love their fashion, this young lady. And so what they did is they went to Kmart and they bought a whole new fashion for these parents, for this kid. And when the kid came home, they said, hey, as soon as you got A's and B's, you'll get your old clothes back, but right now you're wearing Kmart. And when you know, within a month, that child had A's and B's. And so that's how fast that a good discipline can do. The heart of the parent needs to be this: I'll do whatever it takes to change your direction. That has to be your heart and your attitude. I see many parents, I've talked to parents, they're like, well, she's 15, what do you do? I mean, what do you do? I'll tell you what you do. You win. You have to win. Your future is well, she keeps sneaking out and out with her boyfriend, and I don't know what to do. I'll tell you what I do. I guess I'd have to invest in the handcuffs. I'd sleep in your room, I'd handcuff you together. I will win that contest. Whatever that means, I win. You will lose. Because your future is too important for me to give up on the direction that your life is headed. And so we have to make sure that we're doing that. All right, get your flow charts out. In the flow chart, under S1, write skills and talents. And then under B1, write behavior. And it's important that we understand that not everything in life is moral. Not everything is good or bad, like morally good or bad. It's not in the Bible, right? And so we have to understand that we treat biblical moral things different than we treat skills and talents. Riding a bike is not a behavior. Riding the bike in the street would be a behavior. Hitting a ball with a bat is a skill. It's not a behavior. Hitting your brother with a bat is a behavior. And making your bed, it's a skill. But making your bed before school, before you leave for school, would be a behavior. So you got skills and you got behaviors. And skills, what we want to do is we want to motivate our children to practice and gain wisdom. We want them motivated for that. So anything with a skill, it's all about motivating them, because I want to raise up kids that realize in life certain things, if I'm really great at it, then I have to get some wisdom, I got to practice something, and I got to work hard at it. This is what I'm training a child all the way to the time that we have them. Skills and talents. All right, so S2 is verbal praise. So verbal praise for your child, when it has to do with a skill or talent, has point them to practice, right? Maybe in baseball, right, they stunk it up the first week. We've had kids that did that. And then you got them practicing and you point them to practice. And then the next week, they still kind of stunk it, but they were a little bit better. And you go, look at how much better you did. You know what? It was that practice that you did every single day. They do their piano concert and they get up, and then afterwards you're like, man, you practicing every day at the piano, man, you really did shine. You can see how practice really did that. And so we're praising them and trying to point them most of the time to practice. Now, the best praise that you ever give your child is the unexpected praise. If they bring you a picture, they're expecting, yeah, that's a great picture. But when you're walking by and you see them doing something, maybe they are coloring, and you walk by, you go, man, you have some artist in you. That is a really good picture. I can't believe how good you did at that. That praise is the praise of all praise. I'll take praise even another level. Even a bigger praise is when you praise your children in front of other people. Right, little Johnny here, you should see, little Johnny is an artist. Whatever Johnny draws or colors, it is crazy, the artist, and that child will attach to that, and that child will be drawing and coloring, and they'll become motivated in something that maybe they wouldn't have been motivated had it not been given the praise in them. S3 is goals and incentive. So, when it comes to skills and comes to talent, we want them to practice hard work. And so in that, we'll give them some goals and incentives. If you can tie your shoe, I'm going to take you out to ice cream. Right? We're not talking about a behavior here. We're talking about a skill. When the child learns to tie their shoe, they practice it. I'm going to take you out for ice cream. Lakin, when he was, he must have been 9 years old, and he was thinking about gymnastics. And I said, all right, if you can do 10 chin-ups, right? I'm gonna, and that was a big deal. If you could do 10 chin-ups, I'm gonna take you out, and I'm gonna get you a new Nintendo Switch. It wasn't a Switch at the time; it was like a Nintendo something. And that boy, he was out there doing chin-ups, and I don't know if you ever did them. Still can't do 10 chin-ups, but if you do, I'm gonna buy you a Nintendo. I did that with Baylor. Hey, if you get a certain amount of tackles in this football season, then I'm gonna get. If you start, Dad's gonna take you out. I think I was going to give him $1 a tackle, and it was a very cheap. He wasn't very good at football, so it was very inexpensive. I think the whole season cost me $2. It wasn't a lot. Sorry, Baylor, but you're a phenomenal wrestler. But wrestling, we did that with wrestling also. Hey, if you do this or do that. I remember with Heath, this is a funny story. So for Heath, I said to him, and we were in Hawaii, so he was doing the big nationals tournament. So if you win nationals, son, right, this is big, or it was regionals. If you win regionals, I'm going to buy you a new MacBook. Now, realize this is, like, he hasn't placed, he usually places like third, fourth. Rings, he was always first. But to win all of the events, like, that was a big deal. He worked hard, and then here we are in Hawaii. All he has is the vault left to do, and he's in first place. And part of me was like, I hope he doesn't win, because that's a lot of money. But hopefully, some of me does. But it's a good giving those incentives for our children for hard work and for that. All right. Now we'll move into B1, which is behaviors. So the first one was, skills. talents. Now we're kind of getting into the meat of things in your behavior. There's two parts of the behavior. There's a positive side and a negative. We really want to focus on trying to spend more time on the positive side of behavior and less on the negative. And the more that we become great at positive, the less we have to do on the negative side of the behavior. And so the first part we'll start on the positive side. B2 is encouragement. B2 is encouragement. You know, you can be in a store and you can have one kid acting up bad and one kid that did great, and we spend so much time on the kid that was acting up, and we didn't spend any time on the child that was doing great and encouraging him. And you know what? Lakin, you did so good in the store today. You were well behaved. You didn't touch stuff. You didn't get annoyed when I said no to the cookie. Dad's proud of you. And it's interesting that a pat on the back or a word of encouragement from mom and dad, really, they'll follow a good behavior they'll follow a good feeling. And good feelings come from encouragement. Some of you have had that from like a boss or something that you kind of looked up to, or a coach, and they gave you some encouragement, and you're like, okay, I want to do that again. And the same thing for our kids, that our kids will want to follow those words of encouragement. And so what I really want you to do is really look for it. Like I said, it's easy to see the kid that is messing up. It's easy to see when they do things wrong. So when we focus on that, we see everything they did wrong in the day, but we didn't see all the things they did right. We didn't see that they did clean their room, right? But they left a bowl on the counter, right? We didn't see that they listened here and I asked them to do something, but they didn't listen over here. We were focused on the negative. And we want to be parents that when our child does things the way that we want them to do, they come the first time, you're like, I am impressed. Thank you so much for coming when I asked. Hey, oh my God, you did so good on cleaning your room. Look at this room. Like I got to let your dad know when he gets home. This is incredible. And so really, really trying to be parents who are, in a sense, seasoning our children with our words of encouragement. And once again, you're saying it in front of other people. Savvy gets straight A's. I'll say that. I still, even at 17 years old, Savvy's never seen a B. Savvy gets straight A's. She's so well behaved. They'll follow your words. E1 is pre-activity, and this is a game changer. Probably one of the biggest difference makers for me and Holly as parents was these pre-activities. Because the Bible says, lead me not into temptation. I love that. And I love that. When we preload the cortex of the brain of the child, we are preempting them because they're kids, they forget. A seventh grader will forget what to do oftentimes. And so what we do with the pre-activity is we're telling them our expectation and having them tell us the expectation before we even get there. So E2 is verbal reminder. A verbal reminder is just that. We're driving to the store and I say, all right, kids, remember we're going into the store, right? There's no fits, there's no tantrums. Remember, we're not getting a treat today. We're going to go in. We're not going to be loud. We're not going to run around. You'll be in the cart. You're going to walk by the cart. And I'm preloading. We're going to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Remember, we don't touch anything. We don't touch stuff except for the stuff we can touch. We go to the playroom. We're not loud. We're going to be loud. We go outside. And what this does is really, because if you don't do that, you get it, and they're all of a sudden they're running through the house. You're like, you're no better than running through the house. Well, they got excited. They forgot. They got caught up in the moment. They got caught up at Grandma's house. And so it's very important as parents that we're going to church. Remember, in church, we don't yell, we don't scream. You stand by mom and dad. We don't run off with our friends. And so we're preloading them. But what's even more powerful is E3 is questions. It's one thing for me to tell them. It's another thing for them to tell me. And so when they're real young, 3 years old, 2 years old, you're telling them. Then there'll be a transition that'll happen where we're going to the store. All right, how do we act? Right? All right, how do we act in the store? And then you have kids in the back go, all right, we don't run, we don't do this, we don't do that. We were doing this one time, Peyton, I think she was like 3. The kid's like, we don't run in Target, right? We don't touch stuff, we stay by. And then Peyton goes, and we don't pee on the floor. And we went, yes. We don't pee on the floor. That's a very important one. So have them remind you of the behavior. Wherever you're going, get in a habit of it. It really will make your life, when we would forget about it, we're like, oh, and we would have to like almost have a a post-game meeting or a mid-game meeting. Hey guys, real quick, come here. And then we'd have to go over like, hey, remember, this is what we do, especially when they're 4 years old, they're 5 years old, 6 years old. Their mind is not yet anchored on how to behave in every single place. E4, positive words. I like this, and Holly really wrote this part out really well. You can say things in a positive way or a negative way. You can say, don't run. You can say, please walk. Don't spill, or be careful. So we want to frame our children's mind with positivity. I really do. And so I want them to live life not on what they can't do, but what they can do. And so in order to do that, it becomes a change in me and Holly. We had to go through a change, well, me, not her so much, but me, in how I would phrase things, right? And so the same thing for you, not that we'll get it all the time, because sometimes it's like, hey, stop, right? But if we can become parents who are characterized by the fact that when I say things, I do my best to try and say it in a positive way or in a positive manner. E5 is post-activity. Probably as important as pre-activity. Why is that? Because when we got done and we left Grandma and Grandpa's house, we go back to what I really said in the beginning. We want to focus on the positive. Kids, you did so well. Mom and Dad, we have got the best kids in the world. I am so proud of you. You guys didn't run. You didn't do. At the store, you get done with the store, you're like, kids, you were so well behaved. I was so impressed, right? Did you see that other kid just screaming and hollering? Yeah, you kids are, and so once again, they'll follow the positive emotion. They feel great. We all do. Everyone feels good when we get a pat on the back because we did something right. And what will happen, that'll transition when they become adults, that their conscious will give them a pat on the back when they do the right thing for the right reason. Okay, E6 was praise. Oh, E5 was post-activity. E6 is praise. Praise with touch. I like that. And we talk about that a little bit. Something about a praise with your kids and a little hand on the shoulder. You know, my dad will come up and you know, give me a good hug at 56 years old and goes, son, that was a great teaching. And I don't know why. It doesn't matter what anybody else in the world could say. Joel Osteen could say that was garbage. It wouldn't matter at that moment. My dad gave me a hug. It was something in how God has made us, that the touch with the word is power, right? You wrap up your child and say, man, you did so good in that game, even though, you know, they had some ups and downs. You know, you played well. I saw you played with your heart. I know that you made a couple mistakes. It's not a big deal. We're always going to make mistakes, but you were able to bounce back. And I am very proud of how the referee made a call you didn't agree with and you did good. I'm proud of you. And you follow that with kind of a hug while you're doing it. And it seems like the hug is what makes it stick. The touch on the shoulder is what makes it stick. E7 is a reward, and it's not a bribe. We'll talk about bribes last week. So a bribe is, if you're good, I'll give you something. A bribe also is, every time at the store when they're good, I give them something because they expect it. But to me, a reward is once in a while, we went to the store and the kids did great. I'm like, pick out some candy, right? Or we get to the toy aisle, I'm like, hey, y'all grab a toy. And you guys are so well behaved. And so it wasn't a bribe. It was kind of a reward. And life does that. Life rewards us. It's not like the wife says, hey, if you do this, this, and this, I'm going to be nice to you tonight, right? That's a bribe. No, you just were a great husband, and family just was great that night. Life tends to reward when we do things the right way for the right reasons. And so I'm not being good for the bribe. I'm being good because it's the right thing to do, and then life naturally rewards us in that. And so next week we'll be bringing the pain. That'll be next week. So we'll be talking about the pain side of discipline, which we'll talk about childishness and foolishness. But anyway, be blessed. I had a great night with you. Thank you. Give the Lord a hand clap.